Horrifyingly. What would happen when a notorious crime boss, who has buried love and conscience for 30 years in cold-bloodedness and absolute power, is suddenly rushed into his heavily guarded private room by an 8-year-old starving, trembling girl in ragged clothes? Clutching his sleeve with ice-cold tiny hands, could a heart frozen solid by the death of his only beloved wife melt in a single moment? When the little girl whispers, "They're hurting my mama. She's bleeding so much. She won't wake up," a deadly silence envelops the entire room of power. And from that instant, everything in crime boss Daniel Kim's life begins to collapse or be redeemed. Join us now for this tear-jerking story of love, guilt, and redemption titled Light from the Darkness. Before we dive into this chilling and mysterious story, please remember to subscribe to the channel Crimson Romance Stories and like this video. Every subscription, like, and share from you is a huge spiritual gift and an incredibly profound source of motivation for the channel's growth, so we can continue bringing wonderful videos every day to everyone. There would be no greater joy than receiving your love and support through the comments you leave right below this video, comments sharing your emotions, or telling us which province or city you're living and working in while listening to this story. Alright, let's continue together and immerse ourselves in this amazing, captivating story that's filled with deep emotions. I sit at my usual table in the private back room of Hanwol Lounge, one of the most exclusive upscale Korean establishments in the heart of Los Angeles, Koreatown. The air is thick with the scent of premium aged whiskey and subtle hints of grilled wagyu drifting in from the main floor. My lieutenants surround me, loyal men who have built this empire with me over decades. We discuss numbers in low voices, underground gambling profits from the private rooms upstairs, protection collections from businesses across South Los Angeles, high-stakes loans that keep the cash flowing like the Los Angeles River after a rare rain. At 58 years old, with my fair skin still smooth from careful living and the finest skincare money can buy, I command respect and fear in equal measure. My word is absolute. My jade ring, passed down from my mother, catches the dim light as I gesture, a constant reminder of the family I once had. On the outside, I am untouchable. A Korean-American success story who arrived in this country as a young man with nothing and turned shadows into wealth. My penthouse overlooks the glittering skyline. My fleet of black SUVs waits downstairs. My tailored suits cost more than most people earn in a month. But inside, the loneliness gnaws at me relentlessly. A violent turmoil that surges without warning. Guilt twists in my gut like a knife, guilt for the choices that built this power, for the enemies I buried, for the life I lost. 30 years ago, my wife, Min-ji, the only light in my darkening world, was taken from me in a drive-by shooting meant for me. She died in my arms on a rainy Los Angeles street, her blood mixing with the puddles. We had dreamed of children, of a quiet life away from the dangers I courted. But love became a weakness exploited, and I learned that sentiment invites death. I touched the Buddhist prayer beads hidden in my pocket, the ones she wore my only secret softness in a heart I armored with ice. Tonight, like every Tuesday for the past 15 years, we conduct our weekly meeting here in this sanctuary. Problems are solved with precision. A rival, encroaching on our territory in South Central, gets a warning. A debtor who missed payments is reminded of consequences. I operate without emotion, because emotion clouds judgment. Survival demands it. Yet beneath the calm exterior, the inner conflict rages fiercer than ever, a relentless storm of regret, isolation, and a gnawing emptiness that no amount of power fills. I am wealthy beyond measure, dominant in this underworld, but profoundly alone, fractured by memories that haunt my sleepless nights. The heavy door to the private room is guarded, the lounge buzzing with well-dressed patrons who know better than to disturb us. This is my domain in the sprawling city of Los Angeles, where Korean neon signs glow alongside Latino markets and towering billboards. But even here, in the midst of calculated control, something is about to shatter the walls I built so carefully around my heart. I feel it coming, a faint crack in the armor, though I cannot yet name it. The conversation around the table flows in its usual measured rhythm percentages. Territories. Names of businesses that will pay on time this month, and those that need a reminder. My voice is calm, authoritative. The one they all listen to without question. But inside, the storm rages harder tonight. The guilt presses against my ribs like a fist. The memory of Minji's last breath echoing in the quiet spaces between words. I wonder, not for the first time, if this empire is worth the endless nights alone in that sprawling penthouse, staring at the city lights that never sleep, yet offer me no warmth. Then, without warning, the heavy soundproof door to the private room bursts open with a force that makes the crystal glasses tremble. Every head snaps toward the entrance. My bodyguards, June and Minho, reach inside their jackets in perfect unison. Years of training taking over, the lounge security man stumbles in behind the intruder, his face pale, apologizing in rapid Korean. But I raise one hand and they all freeze, standing in the doorway, trembling from head to toe. Is a little girl no more than 8 years old, African American, thin in a way that twists something deep in my chest, bones too visible beneath dark skin. Cheeks hollow from hunger I recognize all too well from stories my mother told of wartime Korea. Her clothes are torn. A faded pink jacket, 2 sizes too small, stained with dirt and something darker. In her tiny fist, she clutches a small hanbok doll, one of those inexpensive souvenirs sold in Koreatown gift shops. Its silk dress frayed but carefully held like a treasure. Her dark hair is matted, her eyes wide with terror and exhaustion, yet burning with a desperate courage that stops my breath. She sweeps the room with those eyes, taking in the expensive suits, the guarded faces, the unmistakable air of power. Most children would shrink, would run. But this one, this fragile, starving child who looks like she has not slept in warm safety for weeks, spots me instantly. Something in her gaze locks onto mine, as if she can see straight through the armor to the man beneath. Without hesitation, she runs straight toward me, her worn sneakers slapping against the polished floor. The room holds its collective breath. June steps forward to intercept. But I lift my hand again, sharper this time, and he stops. She reaches my chair and grabs the sleeve of my tailored Tom Ford suit with both small hands. Knuckles white, trembling so violently I feel the vibration travel up my arm. Her fingers are ice cold even through the fabric. "Please, sir," she whispers, voice breaking, soft and restrained, yet piercing me like a blade. "They're hurting my mama. She's bleeding real bad. She can't wake up." End quote. This quote. The words hit me harder than any bullet ever could. My heart, frozen for 30 years, lurches violently, a painful crack splitting through the ice. I look down into her upturned face, tears cutting clean tracks through the grime, lips quivering, but those brown eyes holding mine with a trust that shatters something inside me. In that instant, an overwhelming surge rises in my chest, fierce, burning, immediate, not pity, not duty. Love, raw, explosive, undeniable love for this destitute child who has somehow chosen me, out of everyone in this dangerous world, to be her salvation. My lieutenants shift uncomfortably. No one has ever approached me like this. No one dares. Yet here she is, clinging to me as if I am her only lifeline in a cruel sea that has tried to drown her and her mother night after night. The contrast burns. My world of private jets and limitless wealth against her reality of cold winds, empty stomachs, and now this unimaginable horror. I feel the inner turmoil explode, guilt for the life I lead, remorse for every ruthless choice, and now a violent, tearing need to protect this child I have known for mere seconds. My voice, when it comes, is gentler than I thought possible. What's your name? Sweetheart? The room is utterly still, as though the air itself has stopped moving. My lieutenants stare, mouths half open, waiting for my reaction, the way soldiers wait for a general's command. Jun's hand hovers inside his jacket. Minho's eyes dart between the child and me, calculating threat levels that do not exist. No one has ever breached this space uninvited, let alone a starving little girl clutching a frayed Hanbok doll like it is the only beautiful thing left in her world. I look down at her again. Really look. Her small frame shakes with cold and fear. Yet she does not let go of my sleeve. Her jacket is threadbare, zipper broken, the kind of garment pulled from a church donation bin on a desperate night. Her shoes are soaked through Los Angeles. Winters are not always kind, and the December wind off the streets can cut like glass. I can see the blue tint beneath her dark skin, the way her lips tremble, not just from tears, but from nights spent in a drafty apartment with no heat, from hunger that gnaws constantly, from a mother working double shifts only to come home empty-handed. The brutal gap between us yawns open in my chest. My custom suit costs more than her mother probably earns in 3 months. My watch alone could pay their rent for years. And here she stands, emaciated and exhausted, trusting me because some child's instinct told her I hold power. Her eyes wide, bloodshot from crying, rimmed with the dullness of sleepless nights, never leave mine. There is dread in them. Yes, and confusion, as if she cannot quite believe she has made it this far. A flicker of fear crosses her face when she realizes how many dangerous men surround her, but it is quickly overtaken by raw desperation. She sways slightly, dizziness threatening to pull her under. Yet she steadies herself by gripping my sleeve tighter. In that tiny act of defiance against collapse, something inside me ruptures violently. The inner storm I have carried for 30 years explodes into chaos. Guilt, remorse, loneliness, they all crash together in a torrent that steals my breath. How many times have I ordered collections that left families like hers shivering in the dark? How many businesses have I squeezed until mothers skipped meals to protect their children? The remorse is a living thing now, clawing at my heart, tearing at the ice I thought unbreakable. And beneath it, rising fast and fierce, is that burning love, immediate, overwhelming, passionate beyond reason. It is not gentle or measured, it is a wildfire, consuming every careful wall I built after Minji's death. This child, this fragile, destitute girl who has endured cruel fate night after night, has chosen me. Me, the man whose hands are stained with shadows. And in choosing me, she has shattered me. I lower myself slowly, deliberately, until I am on one knee, bringing my face level with hers. The movement silences the room even further. I can feel my men's shock, like a physical weight. My voice, when it emerges, is softer than I have allowed it to be. In decades soft, yet steady. Because she needs steadiness more than anything else right now. Sweetheart, I say gently, you're safe here. No one will hurt you. I promise. Isolotard with plants, her lower lip quivers. A fresh wave of tears spills over. But she nods. Cautious trust, flickering behind the fear. My name's Aaliyah. Sir, she whispers, voice timid, respectful. The tone of a child who has learned too early to speak carefully to adults who hold power over her survival. Mama's name is Jasmine. They came for the money we don't have. Please. The name Jasmine lands in my heart like a spark on dry tinder. The love surges again, fiercer. Extending now to the mother, I have never met a woman crushed by the same irrational injustices I have quietly allowed to flourish in territories I control. My chest aches with a pain both exquisite and tearing. I place my hand large, warm, steady over her tiny frozen ones, still clutching my sleeve. I'm going to help your mama. Aaliyah, I say, and the promise feels like a vow carved into my soul. Right now, and behind me, I hear June shift. Uncertainty thick in the air, but for the first time in 30 years, their doubts do not matter. Only this child matters. Only the fierce, burning need to shield her and the mother she loves from every cold wind, every cruel hand, every unjust night that has tried to break them. Aaliyah's small, frozen hands still cling to my sleeve, and the warmth of my own palm covering hers feels like a bridge across an abyss I have spent 30 years widening. I remain on one knee, eye level with her, afraid that if I stand too quickly, the spell will break and she will vanish like a dream I do not deserve. The Hanbok doll dangles from her other fist, its tiny silk dress brushing against my $1,000 suit, a fragile scrap of color in a life that has known only shades of gray and black. Her whispered words replay in my mind. They're hurting my mama. She can't wake up. Each syllable is a hammer blow against the walls I built after Minji died. Those walls were supposed to be unbreakable, forged from grief, tempered by guilt, reinforced by every ruthless decision that kept me alive and alone. I told myself sentiment was weakness, that love invited destruction. Yet here, in this opulent private room, scented with expensive whiskey and grilled meat, a starving child has walked through every layer of security, straight into the fortress of my heart, and laid siege with nothing but tears and trust. The crack starts small, a hairline fracture behind my ribs, then widens with terrifying speed. Memories flood in unbidden, Minji's laughter echoing in our tiny apartment when we first arrived in America. Her hand on my cheek the night she promised we would build a family. The way her eyes dimmed as blood pooled on the wet pavement. I swore I would never again allow anyone close enough to be used against me. I became the man who could order a business closed while a father begged on his knees, who could walk away from pleading eyes without a backward glance. But Aaliyah's eyes hollow from hunger, shadowed by sleepless nights in cold rooms, bright with a courage born of absolute desperation, are undoing me in seconds. The inner turmoil surges into something violent, almost physical. Remorse claws at my throat. Guilt for the empire I built on the backs of people like Jasmine Williams roars through me like fire. How many single mothers have I indirectly crushed with protection demands they could never meet? How many children have gone to bed hungry because money flowed upward into my pockets? The contrast is unbearable. My heated penthouse with its panoramic views against their drafty apartment, where cold winds slip through cracked windows. My walk-in closet filled with suits against Aaliyah's single thin jacket, my private chef against their empty refrigerator. The injustice of it all, the cruel, irrational fate that starves one family while showering another with excess tears at me until I can barely breathe. Yet beneath the pain, something fiercer rises, that explosive, burning love. It is not measured or cautious. It is immediate, overwhelming, passionate beyond anything I felt, even for Minji. This child, emaciated and trembling, has awakened a protectiveness so fierce it frightens me. I want to shield her from every cold night, every skipped meal, every humiliation poverty has forced upon her. And already the love extends to her mother, to Jasmine, a woman I have never met, battered and bleeding because the world decided her honest struggle was not enough. Aaliyah sways again, dizziness pulling at her small body. I steady her gently, my large hand supporting her back. She looks up at me with cautious curiosity now flickering through the fear, as if she cannot quite believe the most powerful man in the room is kneeling before her. "You believe me, sir?" she asks in that soft and timid voice, barely above a whisper. The question breaks something else inside me. A child who has known only distrust and hardship is asking if I, a stranger cloaked in danger, will keep my word. "I believe you," I answer, my voice thick with emotion I can no longer hide. and I'm going to make this right. Buzzed, buzzeted, the walls keep cracking, great chunks falling away, exposing the raw, aching heart I thought long dead. For the first time in 30 years, I feel alive and terrified of what that means. I remain kneeling, my hand still steadying Aaliyah's small back as she draws a shaky breath. The room around us has faded into silence. Even my lieutenants seem to hold their breath, waiting. Her eyes, those exhausted brown eyes ringed with shadows no child should carry, search mine with a mix of fear and fragile hope. The Hanbok doll trembles in her grip, its bright colors a cruel mockery against the grime on her thin fingers. Tell me what happened. Aaliyah, I say softly, my voice low enough that only she can hear the tremor in it. Tell me everything. I'm listening. She swallows hard, her body swaying again as dizziness threatens to overtake her. For a moment she looks disoriented, as if the warmth of the lounge and the circle of dangerous men have blurred into a dream she cannot trust. Then the words spill out in a rush, soft and timid, punctuated by hiccups and fresh tears. Mama has a little takeout place, soul food, on the edge of South Central. We live in the tiny apartment above it, just us two since Daddy left years ago. Her voice cracks. Mama works all day, sometimes into the night, cooking for people who got more than us. But lately, these men started coming. They say the street belongs to them now. They want money every week for protection. Mama tried to pay it first, but the bills kept coming electric. Rent, my school stuff. We've been eating rice and beans mostly. Sometimes just bread when the pantry's empty. It's a Balnistaf. The image sears into me. Jasmine Williams, a woman I have never met, standing exhausted over a hot stove while cold winds rattle thin windows, choosing between feeding her daughter and paying extortion. Nights without heat, hunger gnawing at them both. The humiliation of counting pennies while I sit in heated luxury. My chest tightens until breathing hurts. Tonight, Aaliyah whispers, voice dropping even lower. They came after closing, two big men. Mama told me to hide behind the prep table. They yelled about money she didn't have, said they'd teach her a lesson. Mama begged. Sir, she begged them. But they started breaking things. Plates, the fryer, everything she saved years for. Then one grabbed her, and they hit her. Over and over. I saw blood on the floor. Mama stopped moving. She wouldn't answer when I called her name. It's grip. A soft sob escapes her, and she presses her face into my sleeve for a moment, as though hiding from the memory. When she looks up again, confusion and shock swirl in her eyes, disorientation from reliving the horror in front of strangers, numbness settling over the pain, like a thin, fragile shield. I waited till they left, laughing like it was nothing. Then I ran, 18 blocks. Sir, my legs hurt so bad, and it was cold, but I kept thinking somebody strong had to help. I remembered seeing fancy cars outside this place. I thought maybe the important man inside could make them stop. Actually, well, her words land like blows. 18 blocks through dangerous streets. Alone. Starving. Freezing a child, enduring what no adult should face. All because the system I quietly profit from crushes the weakest first. The inner turmoil explodes into chaos. Remorse so violent it feels like physical tearing. Guilt that chokes me. Rage at the cruel fate that starves innocence while rewarding shadows. Yet overriding it all is the burning love fiercer now, extending fully to Jasmine. This unknown woman battered for daring to survive honestly. I pull Aaliyah gently into my arms, heedless of my men's stunned gazes. She stiffens at first, fearful, cautious, then collapses against me. Small body racked with silent sobs. In that embrace, the passionate attachment anchors deeper than ever. I would burn every rival faction to ash to keep her safe. face any street confrontation. Any danger? We're going to your mama now. I murmur against her hair, and no one will ever hurt either of you again. I promise. Effected. Agenda. The vow comes from a place deeper than power or wealth, from the raw, ruptured heart. This destitute child has reborn. I rise slowly from my knee, keeping one arm around Aaliyah's tiny shoulders to steady her. She leans into me without hesitation now. Exhaustion and cautious trust warring in her small frame. The Hanbok doll brushes against my side as I turn to face my men. The room is still frozen. Every lieutenant waiting for a command they never expected to hear from me. John, I say, my voice quiet but carrying the steel they all know. Get the convoy ready. 3 SUVs. Full security. We leave in 2 minutes. Oh, they're brazed. June blinks once, then nods sharply and moves toward the door. Minho already has his phone out, fingers flying across the screen. I continue, the words coming faster than any business decision I have ever made. Call Dr. Park. Tell him to meet us at the location with everything he needs for severe trauma head injuries. Possible internal bleeding, priority 1. And alert the private wing at Cedars, clear a trauma bay and surgical suite. Money is no object. Is that? Commands ripple outward like stones dropped in still water. My men move with practiced efficiency. But I catch the sideways glances, the unspoken questions about why Daniel Kim, the untouchable boss, who has not shown emotion in 30 years, is mobilizing an entire operation for a starving child and her battered mother. Inside me, the turmoil has become a hurricane. Remorse tears through every defense. I built this empire on protection rackets that bleed places exactly like Jasmine's little takeout. I allowed rival factions to encroach because it did not threaten my core territories. Irrational cruelty flourished in the shadows I cast, crushing honest women who worked 16-hour days only to face fists when they could not pay. The guilt is a living blade now, twisting deeper with every heartbeat. How many nights did Jasmine lie awake? Cold wind whistling through cracked walls, wondering how to feed Aaliyah tomorrow? How many times did she skip meals herself so her daughter could have a little more? Yet the burning love overrides everything fierce, passionate, all-consuming. It is no longer just for Aaliyah. It has expanded to envelop Jasmine, this unknown warrior of a woman fighting impossible odds. I feel an explosive need to shield them both, to erase every humiliation poverty has inflicted, to stand between them and every cruel misfortune the world has waiting. I guide Aaliyah toward the exit. She stumbles slightly, dizziness returning, and I sweep her up into my arms without thinking. She weighs almost nothing, heartbreaking proof of too many empty evenings. Her head rests against my shoulder, timid whisper brushing my ear. You really gonna help Mama? Sir? The question, so soft and respectful, shatters another piece of me. I press her closer, my expensive coat enveloping her thin frame like a shield against the cold night ahead. Yes, sweetheart, I'm going to help her. And you, no one will ever hurt you again. End quote. We step out into the private garage. The convoy idles black bulletproof SUVs gleaming under fluorescent lights. I settle Aaliyah in the back seat of the lead vehicle, buckling her in myself, then slide in beside her. She clutches the Hanbok doll tightly, eyes wide with a mix of fear and growing wonder as the heated leather seats warm her frozen body for the first time in who knows how long. As the doors close and we pull into the Los Angeles night, sirens silent but lights ready, I take her small hand in mine. The contrast strikes me again. My manicured fingers, heavy with the jade ring, against her chapped, dirt-streaked ones. Wealth and deprivation, power and powerlessness, intertwined now by fate and by the overwhelming love that has seized my heart. The mobilization is complete. For the first time in decades, I am not moving to protect territory or profit. I am moving to protect a family that has in one shattering moment. Become mine. The convoy cuts through the Los Angeles night like a black blade. Engines humming with restrained power. I sit in the back of the lead SUV, Aaliyah curled against my side, her small head heavy on my chest. The heated seats have finally chased the chill from her bones. But she still trembles aftershocks of fear, exhaustion, and the kind of cold that seeps into the soul after too many nights without enough blankets or food. I keep my arm around her, my cashmere coat draped over her like a blanket, the jade ring cool against her shoulder. She directs us in a whisper, voice timid yet clear. Turn left at the light. Sir, it's the little place with the red sign. Each street we pass deepens the chasm in my heart. Koreatown's bright neon gives way to darker blocks, liquor stores with barred windows, apartments with flickering lights, sidewalks where people huddle against December winds. This is the world Jasmine and Aaliyah have fought to survive in. While I have dined on Wagyu in private rooms, the injustice burns like acid. We pull up to the soul food takeout. The front window is shattered, glass glittering on the sidewalk like cruel stars. The hand-painted sign Jasmine's Soul Kitchen hangs crooked, paint chipped from years of scraping by. Inside, overturned tables, spilled pots, food trampled underfoot. And there, behind the counter, lies Jasmine Williams. I am out of the vehicle before it fully stops, Aaliyah's hand tight in mine. Dr. Park arrives seconds later, his medical bag already open. Jasmine is crumpled on the floor, dark hair fanned across linoleum, stained with blood and spilled grease. Her face is swollen, lips split, breathing shallow and ragged. She is thin, painfully thin, the kind of thin that comes from giving the last bites to a child, from working until collapse rather than resting. Her apron is torn, hands calloused and cut, evidence of endless labor for too little return. Aaliyah freezes in the doorway, a soft cry escaping her. I shield her eyes with my hand, pulling her face against me. Don't look yet, sweetheart. Let the doctor help. Is not going, but I force myself to see every bruise, every mark of irrational cruelty inflicted because a desperate mother could not pay blood money. The remorse inside me becomes a roaring inferno guilt for every racket I have overseen, every territory I have claimed that allowed this to happen on streets I control. My empire's shadow has fallen on her, and the realization tears me apart with violent force. Dr. Park kneels, voice calm but urgent. Severe head trauma, possible concussion, fractured ribs. We need to move her now. Is no way. I nod, throat tight. My men secure the perimeter, quiet, professional. While paramedics, I summoned en route, load Jasmine onto a stretcher. Aaliyah clings to me, dizziness returning as shock and numbness wash over her small face. She sways. I lift her again, carrying her to the SUV. As we follow the ambulance toward Cedars Sinai, sirens cutting the night, I hold both mother and daughter in my mind's eye. Jasmine's battered form, Aaliyah's trusting weight against me. The contrast is unbearable. My private hospital wing awaits, the best care money can buy, while they have known only public clinics with endless waits and turned backs. The passionate love surges higher, fierce and protective. It is no longer abstract. It is a vow forged in this moment. I will stand against every rival faction, every street-level threat, every cruel misfortune that dares touch them again. Whatever danger comes, and it will come, I will face it. In the quiet between sirens, Aaliyah whispers against my chest, "Is Mama gonna be okay?" "Sir?" I press my lips to her hair, the gesture tender and unfamiliar after so many years alone. "I'm going to make sure she is," I answer, voice rough with emotion. "Whatever it takes. Thanks for watching." And in that promise, my fractured heart begins to beat for something beyond survival, for redemption, for love, for a family I never dared dream of again. The private wing at Cedars-Sinai is a world apart from the crowded emergency rooms. Jasmine would have known quiet corridors, soft lighting, staff who move with unhurried precision because my name opens every door. I carry Aaliyah through the secured entrance myself, her small body limp with exhaustion now that adrenaline has ebbed. Nurses swarm gently, offering warm blankets and a private room adjacent to the surgical suite. But she clings to me, timid fingers twisted in my shirt. "I want to stay with you, sir," she whispers, voice restrained and respectful, eyes wide with fresh fear as the sterile smells and beeping monitors overwhelm her. Dizziness flickers across her face again. She sways even in my arms. I sit in the plush chair beside the observation window, keeping her on my lap, wrapping her in the blanket a nurse provides. Jasmine disappears behind double doors into surgery. Dr. Ree. Park's last words echo, "She's a fighter." But the next hours are critical. I stare at those doors, the burning love in my chest, now a raging fire fierce for the child in my arms. Passionate beyond reason for the woman fighting for her life because the world deemed her struggle unworthy of mercy. A nurse brings a tray, warm broth, soft rice, fresh fruit, real food. Not the scraped-together meals Aaliyah has known. She eyes it cautiously, hunger warring with distrust, then looks up at me for permission. The sight rips another tear through my heart. A child who has learned to wait for adults to decide if she eats. I nod, voice gentle. "Eat, sweetheart. As much as you want?" It's a wrestly. She takes small bites at first, then faster, as though afraid it might vanish. I watch her hollow cheeks fill slightly, and the remorse becomes unbearable. How many nights did she fall asleep hungry while I hosted banquets? How many times did cold winds cut through their thin walls while my penthouse stayed perfectly climate-controlled? To distract her and myself, I reach into my coat for the small thermos my driver always carries. Traditional ginseng tea, brewed strong the way my mother taught me. I pour a cup, the fragrant steam rising between us. Aaliyah sniffs curiously, fear giving way to tentative wonder. "It's warm and sweet," I say quietly. "Good for strength as well." She sips, eyes closing in surprise at the taste, something nourishing, something caring. In that small moment, a quiet tenderness settles, just the two of us. The beeping monitors distant, the tea warming her from within for the first time in too long. I begin to speak, voice low, telling her stories my mother told me about enduring hardship during the war, about finding hope in small kindnesses. Not business stories, not power stories, but human ones. My own voice surprises me. I have not spoken like this in 30 years. Aaliyah listens, head against my chest, the Hanbok doll forgotten in her lap. Her breathing evens. Exhaustion finally claims her. She falls asleep mid-story. Small hand curled trustingly over my jade ring. I hold her closer, staring through the glass towards surgery. The inner turmoil piques violent conflict between the man I was and the man this child and her mother are forcing me to become. Guilt and remorse tear at me like wild animals. I could have prevented this with one word, one shift in territory lines. Yet the passionate love anchors me, burning brighter than the pain. It is overwhelming, immediate, a lifeline pulling me from the darkness I have lived in. Hours pass. I do not move. Staff come and go silently, recognizing the unspoken command in my presence. When Dr. Park finally emerges, mask down, fatigue in his eyes, but hope too. I feel my heart stutter. "She's stable," he says quietly. "She'll make it." In my snow, relief crashes over me, numbing and tearing at once. I bow my head over Aaliyah's sleeping form, a silent promise forming in the ruins of my old life. I will protect them, With everything I am, everything I have. And for the first time in decades, the loneliness begins to recede. Aaliyah sleeps peacefully in the private hospital room, the Hanbok doll tucked under her arm, her small chest rising and falling in the first truly safe rest she has known in years. Jasmine is out of surgery, stable but still unconscious, monitors beeping softly around her bruised form. I stand at the window overlooking the city lights. The jade ring, heavy on my finger, Minji's prayer beads clenched in my fist. The passionate love that has seized me burns steady now, a fierce flame lighting every dark corner of my soul. But alongside it, rage simmers, controlled yet white-hot. My phone vibrates. Jun's voice is low. Boss. We have them. Warehouse in Vernon. Both alive. As ordered, with things at hers. I glance back at Aaliyah once more, then step into the corridor. The drive is short. My SUV cuts through empty industrial streets. The warehouse is one of my discrete properties, concrete walls. No windows. The kind of place where serious conversations happen away from prying eyes. The two young enforcers sit tied to metal chairs under a single harsh light. Mid-20s. Cocky tattoos. The swagger of men who believe cruelty makes them strong. Their bravado cracks the moment I walk in. Jun and Min Ho stand behind them. Silent shadows. I stop in front of them. Voice, conversational, but edged with ice. You had a busy night. Things are watching. The one with the scar tries defiance first. Look, man, we were just collecting what was owed. Business. You know? Business. The word ignites the storm inside me. I pull out the crayon drawing Aaliyah made while waiting earlier tonight, a simple sketch of her mother, surrounded by hearts and flowers, given to a nurse with instructions to keep it safe for Mama. I hold it up so both men can see. This is Aaliyah Williams, I say quietly, 8 years old, loves drawing, loves her mother more than anything in this world. Tonight, she watched you beat that mother unconscious over money she didn't have money to cover rent. Groceries. Medicine when Aaliyah was sick last winter. And factor was Lav. Mechanically, their faces pale. The second one begins to sweat. I set the drawing on a table between us. Visible. Accusing. She ran 18 blocks through freezing streets to find help. Alone. Hungry. Terrified. Because you decided a single mother's honest struggle was worth destroying. It's the Fangs works. The inner turmoil peaks violent. Tearing remorse for every time my organization looked the other way, while men like these operated in fringe territories. Guilt for the indirect cruelty my empire enabled. But the love overrides it all, turning rage into something surgical. Controlled. You're going to tell me everything. I continue, a voice still calm. Every business you extorted. Every dollar you took. Every name on your list. Then you're going to help me make sure it all goes back every cent. Tick spent. They stammer excuses. But fear loosens tongues quickly. Names. Amounts. Routes. It spills out. When they mention their boss, a reckless younger Korean American pushing into South Central. My jaw tightens. I lean closer. You crossed a line tonight. Not territory. Not money. Innocence. It's center. I leave them with the drawing staring back at them. A child's simple art more damning than any threat I could utter. Outside. I call Jun. Hold them until restitution is arranged. No marks. Just time to think about the nightmares they gave an 8-year-old girl. It's Brett. The drive back to the hospital is quiet. Dawn edges the skyline as I slip into Aaliyah's room. She stirs when I sit beside her bed. Eyes fluttering open with that cautious curiosity. You came back. Sir, she whispers. Soft and respectful. I take her small hand. Always. In that tender moment, the fierce love anchors deeper. Whatever confrontations lie ahead, street-level standoffs. Rival threats, I will face them all. For her, for Jasmine, for the family fate has placed in my shattered heart. Morning light filters through the hospital blinds as I sit beside Jasmine's bed. Aaliyah sleeps, curled in the adjacent room, finally full and warm. Jasmine's breathing is steady now, bruises darkening across her thin face. IV lines feeding life back into a body worn down by years of relentless struggle. I hold the chart, doctor. Park left severe trauma. Malnutrition noted in passing. The quiet indictment of a system that let her waste away while I amassed fortunes. My assistant forwards the background files I requested. Security footage. Payment records. Anything to understand the full scope of the extortion. I scroll through old hospital archives on my tablet, routine due diligence. Then a still image freezes me. 12 years ago, a grainy corridor camera captures a young woman, Jasmine. Thinner then, but unmistakable, carrying covered trays into a private room. The name on the door, my mother's. I was away then, briefly detained on old charges. Unable to be at her bedside as cancer claimed her. Staff later told me anonymous meals arrived daily, homemade soul food. Warm and nourishing. Paid for in cash with notes saying only, for strength. Its start, Jasmine. She had been a struggling line cook even then, barely affording her own rent. Yet she chose to feed a dying Korean woman she never met. No recognition sought, no reward expected, just quiet kindness in a cruel world. The revelation strikes like lightning violent. Illuminating every shadow in my heart, tears blur the screen before I can stop them. The remorse that has been clawing at me erupts into something cataclysmic. I, who command empires, who could have ended her suffering with one phone call, am the indirect architect of the poverty that nearly killed her. And she who had nothing once, saved my own mother from dying hungry and alone. I bow my head over the bed rail, shoulders shaking with silent sobs. The passionate love I felt from the first moment surges beyond bearing fierce, burning, now laced with reverence. This woman, crushed by irrational injustice, night after night, emaciated from giving her last dollars to strangers in need, has been the quiet light I never knew I owed my life to. A soft moan pulls me upright. Jasmine's eyes flutter open, confused, fearful, then widening in shock as she focuses on me. The stranger at her bedside in an expensive suit, jade ring glinting. Pain and disorientation flood her face. She tries to sit up, dizziness forcing her back with a wince. Where, Aaliyah? Her voice is hoarse, timid, restrained, the tone of someone long accustomed to speaking carefully around power. She's safe, sleeping next door. I take her hand gently, mindful of the IV. You're both safe now. Is Bess? Her eyes search mine, caution deepening into unease. Who are you? Sir, the question hangs between us. I swallow the lump in my throat. The man your daughter found when she needed help most, and someone who owes you a debt I can never fully repay. It's contacted. Tears spill down her bruised cheeks, shock. Numbness. The emotional rupture of waking from nightmare into impossible protection. She has known only cold winds, empty cupboards, humiliation at charity lines. Now a powerful stranger holds her hand like it is precious. I don't understand, she whispers, voice breaking. I bring her hand to my lips briefly. A gesture of gratitude and devotion I have never offered anyone since Minji. You fed my mother when she was dying, Jasmine. You gave her warmth when I could not. Now it's my turn to give that back to you and Aaliyah. For the rest of my life, if you'll let me. And 17 snot. The words pour out, raw and trembling. The love immediate, overwhelming, passionate, has found its deepest root. In saving them, I am the one being saved. And in this quiet hospital room, two broken worlds begin, slowly, to mend, The meeting is set for 2 o'clock in the morning at an abandoned auto yard on the edge of South Los Angeles, rusted car frames under flickering sodium lights. The air thick with oil and decay. I arrive with June and 3 trusted men. Black SUVs pulling in silently. Across the lot, the rival leader waits with his own crew, 6 young men trying to look hard. But nervousness shows in their shifting feet. He is younger than I expected. Maybe 35. Flashy gold chains and designer sneakers that scream new money earned through fear. His name is Taeho Park, a Korean-American upstart who has been pushing into neighborhoods I long left uncontested. Word travels fast in our world. He knows why I am here. Mr. Maters, Kim, he says, forcing a smile. Extending a hand I ignore. This is unexpected. I heard you don't handle street collections personally anymore. Okay, I let the silence stretch until it becomes uncomfortable. My men fan out naturally, positioning without a word. His crew tenses. Street collections, I repeat, voice low, carrying across the empty yard like distant thunder. Is that what you call putting a mother in the hospital and traumatizing her 8-year-old daughter? His smile falters. My boys got carried away. She was behind on payments 3 months. We gave warnings. 13 that 3 months. The words ignite fresh torment inside me. 3 months of Jasmine choosing between medicine for Aaliyah and extortion money. 3 months of skipped meals. Cold nights. Humiliation. While I sat in heated luxury, counting profits that indirectly fed monsters like him. I step closer. He backs up instinctively. Despite his numbers. Do you know what Jasmine Williams does for a living? Park? My voice stays steady. But the rage beneath is volcanic. She runs a small soul food takeout, working 16-hour days to feed people who have more than she ever will. She spent her last savings on pneumonia medicine for her daughter last winter instead of paying your blood money. And for that, your animals nearly killed her. It's gotta end. I pull out the old security still Jasmine delivering meals to my dying mother and hold it up under the harsh light. This woman, who had nothing, fed my mother when I could not. She gave kindness when the world gave her only cruelty. And you thought her fair game is Ovidius. His men shift uneasily now. Even they feel the weight. I fold the photo carefully, placing it back over my heart. Here's what happens now. I say, tone shifting to pure business. You liquidate every operation within 10 blocks of her restaurant. Every dollar you took from that neighborhood over the past year gets returned personally, quietly, in full. Every debt erased. Thanks for watching. He tries bravado. You can't just, I'm not finished. The words cut like steel. His mouth snaps shut. If I hear of your people so much as driving through that area again, I will end your entire organization. Not with noise. Not with war. Quietly. Completely. Himself. The yard falls silent except for distant traffic. He stares at the photo's implication, at my unwavering gaze, and understands this is not negotiation. It is decree. He nods once. Defeated. It'll be done. It's Net's abilities. I turn to leave, then pause. Start with Jasmine's place. New equipment. Repairs. Cash to cover lost time. Tonight, if you too not, as my SUV pulls away, the inner storm rages higher than ever. Remorse for the years I allowed such cruelty to flourish unchecked. Guilt that tears at my soul. Yet the passionate love burns brightest. Fierce protection for Jasmine and Aaliyah. The family fate has returned to me through unimaginable grace. Back at the hospital, I slip into Jasmine's room. She is awake, sitting up slightly. Aaliyah asleep against her side. Her eyes meet mine, still cautious, but softening with each visit. You didn't have to do all this. Sir, she whispers, voice timid yet grateful. I take her hand, the burning attachment anchoring me completely. I did. I answer quietly, and I always will. Do Arias. In that tender moment, amid the beeping monitors and quiet dawn, redemption feels closer than ever. Months have passed since that shattering night. Jasmine's soul kitchen stands, rebuilt, new windows gleaming, fresh paint, modern equipment installed quietly under anonymous contracts that all trace back to me. The neighborhood breathes easier. Rival shadows have withdrawn completely. Protection demands erased like chalk in rain. Restitution arrived in envelopes of cash. No questions asked. Enough for shop owners to repair, to restock, to sleep without fear for the first time in years. I visit often, always discreetly at first, dropping off supplies, checking security from afar, but Jasmine notices. One quiet afternoon in early spring, she confronts me in the back kitchen, apron tied over healing ribs, eyes cautious yet direct. "You're the one who fixed everything, aren't you, Mr. Kim?" Her voice is soft, restrained, the respectful tone of someone who has learned to tread carefully around power. But there is curiosity now, a flicker of wonder breaking through the fear. I nod, unable to lie to her. "I am," and suitors. She studies me, confusion deepening into something warmer. "Why? Folks like me, we don't get miracles from men like you." Ender, the question pierces me. I step closer, the small kitchen shrinking around us. "Because your daughter walked into my world and changed everything. Because you once fed my mother when you had nothing to spare. Because," my voice roughens, "because I owe you both more than money can repay." Is Teeper, tears well in her eyes, shock, disorientation at kindness on this scale. After years of cruel misfortune, she sways slightly, dizziness from lingering weakness, and I steady her gently. The touch lingers, electricity sparks between us, sudden and undeniable. Our conversations stretch longer each visit, hours in the rebuilt kitchen. Then on the small patio behind the shop, where Aaliyah plays safely in a new garden I had installed. Jasmine speaks of the cold nights counting change for formula when Aaliyah was a baby, of skipping meals so her daughter could eat, of humiliation at food banks while working double shifts. Each story tears at me, intensifying the remorse for the world I helped shape. Yet her resilience, her quiet strength, feeds the passionate love that has become my lifeline. One evening, as sunset paints the sky gold, we sit together on the patio bench. Aaliyah draws nearby, henbuck doll propped beside her. Jasmine turns to me, voice trembling but brave. "I was so scared of you at first," she admits softly. "Thought maybe this was some kind of debt I'd never escape. But you've been kind, gentle, more than anyone ever was to us." Goodness, Tim. Her hand brushes mine, accidental, then intentional. The contact ignites something fierce and tender. I turn her palm over, tracing the calluses earned from years of labor no one should endure alone. "I've lived in shadows a long time. Jasmine," I say quietly, "power, wealth, they kept me alive, but never warm. You and Aaliyah, you brought light back. I don't want to lose it." What is leaders? Her eyes meet mine, fear giving way to curiosity, then to a shy, dawning warmth. Tears spill again. But this time, from overwhelming relief, the emotional rupture of realizing protection and affection are real. Not a dream that will vanish. "I don't know what this means," she whispers. "But I feel it too." There's no way. I bring her hand to my lips, the gesture reverent. The burning love surges. No longer just protective, but deeply romantic, passionate, immediate, anchoring my fractured heart completely. Anger still simmers at old rivals who might test boundaries. But for now, in this quiet space, tenderness prevails. Aaliyah runs over, climbing between us with a drawing of 3 stick figures holding hands under a bright sun. For our family, she says simply. Jasmine and I exchange a look over her head, tearful, wondering, full of first sparks that promise to grow into something enduring. In the ruins of old cruelty, new life begins to bloom. 6 months after the showdown, life has settled into a rhythm I never thought possible. I host quiet dinners at the Hanwoo Lounge private room, not for business, but for family. Jasmine, radiant in simple dresses that hide the last traces of old bruises, sits beside me. Aaliyah chatters about school, her drawings scattered across the table like bright promises. The passionate love between Jasmine and me has deepened into something fierce and tender, stolen kisses in the kitchen. Late-night talks, where she traces the jade ring on my finger and I hold her close, marveling that this resilient woman chose me. Tonight we celebrate Aaliyah's 9th birthday, early Korean banquet dishes blended with Jasmine's soul food classics. Laughter filling the space that once echoed only with cold calculations. I watch them, heart full. The inner remorse quieter now, though never gone. I have begun dismantling profitable shadows, redirecting funds to legitimate ventures, telling myself it is for them. Then the doors burst open. Gunmen in masks, 4 of them, weapons raised. My former lieutenant, Sung, steps forward, face twisted with betrayal. You went soft, boss. Gave away territory for a woman and a kid. Time for new management. Is that no? Chaos erupts. My men draw, but the attackers are prepared flashbangs. Suppressed shots cracking the air. Tables overturn, glass shatters. Aaliyah screams. Jasmine freezes in shock, old fear flooding her eyes. I move without thinking. The burning love surges into pure instinct. I shove Aaliyah under the table, then throw myself over both of them as bullets whine overhead. Pain explodes in my shoulder, then my side sharp, burning, tearing through flesh. I grunt, blood soaking my shirt, but I do not move, not while they are exposed. Jun and Minho return fire. The attackers fall back, Seung fleeing into the night. Sirens wail in the distance, my silent alarm triggered. I slump against the overturned table, vision blurring, dizziness pulling at me, blood pools warm beneath me. Jasmine's hands find my face, trembling, tears streaming. Daniel, oh God, no, stay with me. Her voice breaks. Raw terror from a woman who has lost too much already. Aaliyah sobs against my chest, small hands clutching my jacket. I force a smile through the pain, hand cupping Jasmine's cheek. I'm here, not going anywhere. It's not it. Medics swarm minutes later, stabilizing me on site before the rush to the hospital. In the ambulance, Jasmine holds my hand, face pale with shock and numbness, whispering over and over, "You shielded us. You could have died." At my bedside, later, monitors beeping, pain dulled by medication. She sits close, Aaliyah asleep in the next chair. Jasmine's eyes are red, voice soft but fierce. I've been scared my whole life, she confesses, fingers intertwined with mine. Scared of losing everything, of never being enough. But you took bullets for us. I love you, Daniel, so much it hurts. I was afraid to say it fully before, but now I can't hold it back. The confession ruptures something deep inside me, violent emotional release after decades of isolation. Tears come unbidden, remorse and joy colliding. I pull her closer, ignoring the pull of wounds. I love you too, I whisper, voice rough. From the moment Aaliyah grabbed my sleeve, you both saved me long before I saved you. Thanks for watching. In the quiet hospital room, amid the chaos left behind, our love passionate, overwhelming. Forged in fire burns brighter than ever. The attempt on my life has torn open old wounds, But it has also sealed something unbreakable. I protected them with my body. Now I will protect them with my future, whatever it takes. I wake in the hospital bed. Pain a dull roar beneath medication. Monitors beeping steady around me. Jasmine sits beside me, her hand never leaving mine. Eyes red from sleepless vigil. Aaliyah sleeps, curled in the wide chair. Hanbok doll clutched tight. Her small face peaceful for the first time in the chaos. The attempt on my life has left scars, physical ones that will heal, and deeper ones that force me to confront everything I have built. The inner turmoil reaches its breaking point, lying here. Blood transfused from strangers while my own empire nearly took my life. The remorse becomes unbearable. I see it all clearly now. Decades of commanding fear. Collecting debts that starved families like Jasmine's. Turning a blind eye to cruelty because it served profit. The guilt tears through me with violent force gnawing. Relentless. Exposing the fractured loneliness I masked with power. Wealth bought private wings in hospitals. Bulletproof cars. Penthouse views. While Jasmine endured cold winds through cracked windows. Emaciated from giving her last crumbs to Aaliyah. Humiliated by choices no mother should face. Yet in the pain, the passionate love burns, brightest, fierce, overwhelming. The anchor that has kept me alive. It is not just protection anymore, it is devotion. Reverence for this woman who rose from absolute deprivation with grace I never possessed. And for Aaliyah, the child whose courage shattered my walls. Jasmine stirs as I squeeze her hand. Her eyes meet mine, fear lingering from the shooting, but softened by the confession she poured out at my bedside. "You're awake," she whispers, voice soft and restrained. Tears starting again. I was so scared. I pull her gently closer. Ignoring the pull of bandages. "I'm here. Because of you two. It's not chaos." In the quiet hours that follow, decisions crystallize. I summon June privately. My voice is steady despite weakness. Dissolve it all. Every shadow operation. Transfer legitimate assets to the men who earned them fairly. Close the books. Overnight. 80s. June stares. Shock plane. Boss. Everything? Everything. The word carries finality. For the first time, the remorse eases, slightly replaced by purpose. We leave Los Angeles quietly weeks later. Once I can travel, Seattle welcomes us with cool rain and clean air. Far from old territories, I purchase a modest waterfront home, nothing ostentatious, but warm, safe, filled with light. Legitimate restaurants follow, small chains blending Korean and soul food fusion. Built on fair wages and community giving. Profits fund scholarships for children from neighborhoods like Jasmine's old one, education as the ladder I never had early on. 1 year later, on a crisp autumn evening overlooking Puget Sound, I kneel before Jasmine in our garden. Aaliyah stands nearby, eyes wide with excitement, holding a small box. "Jasmine," I say, voice thick with emotion. "You and Aaliyah gave me back my heart when I thought it gone forever. I don't want another day without you as my wife." "Okay." Tears stream down her face, shock, joy. The emotional rupture of a woman who once feared tomorrow, now embracing forever. She nods, whispering, yes, through sobs. Our wedding is intimate, Korean paebek, blended with African American jumping the broom. Family and close friends only. Aaliyah walks Jasmine down the aisle, beaming in her flower girl dress. In the years since, I have learned profound truths. Knowledge comes not from power, but from humility. Life lesson after life lesson reveals that true strength lies in choosing kindness over control. Education of the heart, of the spirit teaches that love transcends skin color and social class. Knowledge shows that wealth and poverty cannot bury your compassion. Life lesson upon life lesson proves humanity blooms brightest in unlikely soil. Education opens eyes to the fact that one act of courage, like a child's plea, can redeem a lifetime. Knowledge reminds us daily that fairness often fails the vulnerable. Yet one choice can shift destinies. Life lesson echoes in quiet mornings. Material success means little without love. Education through shared meals, laughter, and tears affirms that family is chosen, not born. Knowledge whispers that remorse can birth renewal. Life lesson, education, knowledge all intertwined to show that love, pure and fierce, conquers every divide. To everyone watching, may good health fill your days, joy light your hearts, and peace visit you every evening. If this story touched you, please like, subscribe, and share the channel Crimson Romance Stories. We bring new, engaging videos every day. Tell me in the comments, how did this story make you feel? Does it connect to moments in real life? Share your thoughts. Your emotions, we read everyone. Goodbye for now, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.